There is trouble brewing in the sick, twisted world of Islamic apologetics. Muslim apologists of the past relied on deception as their primary weapon in controlling the minds of their gullible followers. And over the centuries, they built up the most spectacular arsenal of lies the world has ever seen. The Quran has been perfectly preserved right down to the letter. The Quran is full of miraculous scientific insights that are only being verified today. The Quran is a literary miracle. Muhammad was the greatest man who ever lived. Muhammad abolished slavery. Muhammad gave women unprecedented rights. Muhammad is mentioned by name in the Bible. Historically, Muslim apologists would say absolutely anything to make their followers feel good about their religion. But now, we've got their sources. And we've got the technology to expose centuries worth of lies. So, the job of a Muslim apologist today is to let Muslims down as gently as possible. 21st century Muslim apologists are trying to soften the blow of reality. The problem is that they're doing this in different ways, and as they attempt to acknowledge or cover up various facts, they end up condemning each other and calling each other liars. Let's look at a simple example. Take the age of Aisha. According to Islam's most trusted sources, Muhammad married a little girl named Aisha when she was 6 or 7 years old, and he had sex with her when she was 9 years old. Now, here's a quick summary of the last 30 years of Islamic apologetics on this issue. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the greatest man in history. His character was perfect. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala declares in Surah 33, verse 21 of the Holy Quran that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a beautiful pattern of conduct for Muslims to imitate. Quick question. If Muhammad was the greatest man in history, why did he have sex with a 9-year-old girl? Well, you know, funny thing is, she wasn't 9 years old. Yeah, the Muslim sources give all kinds of different ages for Aisha. Some say she was 9, some say she was 19. There's just no way of knowing how old she was. So, let's assume she was 19. I just finished going through your sources, and there's absolutely nothing saying that she was 19 or 18 or 17 or 16 or 15 or 14 or 13. Your most trusted sources are unanimous on the fact that she was 9 years old when her prophet climbed on top of her. She was 19, though. That's not what your sources say. She was 19. But that's not what your sources say. I assure you that she was 19. But your sources assure me that she was 9, so... The Arabic word for 9 actually means 19. But it doesn't, though. Recently, mathematicians have proven that 9 equals 19. But they didn't. Have you heard of the miracle of the number 19? That's not what that means. Plus, it's stupid. Well, scientists have discovered that during the 7th century, the Earth revolved around the sun at a different speed, so a 9-year-old girl was basically 19. I'd like to see some evidence for that. Unfortunately, the scientific evidence is all in Arabic, so I'll need you to trust me on this one. Yeah, since everything you've said so far is a lie, I'm afraid I just can't trust anything you say until you start telling me the truth. Fine, she was 9. But Rebecca was 3 and Mary was 12 and Joseph was 90. I can't give any sources for any of that, but trust me anyway. I don't have to prove anything I'm saying because Islam. Remember when I warned you about lying? So, by pressing the issue for 3 decades straight, we finally got Muslim apologists to admit that Aisha was 9 years old when her prophet started having sex with her. The next step will be to get them to admit that Aisha hadn't reached puberty when her prophet started having sex with her. Islam's most trusted sources acknowledge that she hadn't reached puberty, but it always takes years for Muslim apologists to admit what their sources say. So we'll give them another decade or so to be honest about this. Now, since Muslim apologists are finally admitting that Aisha was 9 years old when her prophet had sex with her, they're simultaneously accusing other Muslim apologists, those who claim that Aisha was much older than 9, of lying about this. And I'm not exaggerating here. Sheikh Yasir Qadhi specifically says that Muslims who deny the young age of Aisha are lying.
And oh Muslims, don't apologize for the truth and don't distort the truth. There are Muslims that try to deny this. Oh, he didn't marry Aisha as a young girl. Ya akhi, look, that's not the way forward. We don't lie for the sake of our religion. Astaghfirullah. We have the truth. We're not going to cover up the truth if people find it embarrassing. This is the reality. Deal with it.
What is Sheikh Qadhi's rebuke to Muslim apologists who say that Aisha was older than 9?
That's not the way forward. We don't lie for the sake of our religion. Astaghfirullah.
Interestingly, Shabir Ally has been claiming for years that Aisha was much older than 9 when her prophet had sex with her.
Ruqayya Waris Maqsood has actually written a pamphlet on this, which might be found in some of the internet sites, in which she analyzes some of the reports, and she found that in fact there was some mistake in the dates, and it seems that Aisha might have been 16 at the time when she got betrothed to the Prophet and 19 at the time of the consummation of the marriage. One is a sister in the UK, Ruqayya Waris Maqsood. Her brief treatise on this has been published by the Islamic Propagation Center International in Birmingham. And that's an excellent summation of the evidence that goes to show that Aisha radiallahu anha must have been much older than the ages which are mentioned in the hadith that is most notorious about this.
We should not accept without critical investigation the simple declaration that Aisha was as young as some of the narratives in our traditions indicate.
The age that is reported for Aisha radiallahu anha in that popular hadith has been misstated.
And it may have been the case that Aisha's age got exaggerated downward.
And then, of course, they start exaggerating the age downwards to make her age younger and younger.
Probably in her teens, and as people told and retold the story of how young she was, they exaggerated her age downwards.
And if Aisha was 17 at that time, and then she moved in with the Prophet ﷺ a year later, it would mean that she was 18 at the time when she moved in to live with the Prophet ﷺ. So that's a far cry from 9 years old. It's double the age.
How old was she, Shabir?
And it seems that Aisha might have been 16 at the time when she got betrothed to the Prophet and 19 at the time of the consummation of the marriage.
Your rebuttal, Yasir?
We don't lie for the sake of our religion. Astaghfirullah.
And it may have been the case that Aisha's age got exaggerated downward.
That's not the way forward.
Probably in her teens.
We don't lie.
It would mean that she was 18 at the time when she moved in to live with the Prophet ﷺ.
We're not going to cover up the truth if people find it embarrassing. This is the reality. Deal with it.
Is it just me, or are you absolutely loving the implosion that's taking place before our eyes? Not just on this issue, but on every issue in Islamic apologetics? Muslim apologists can't agree on anything, and they are quick to start calling each other liars and hypocrites and unbelievers. And the condemnations are flying in every direction. In my next video, we'll see Shabir Ally go on the offensive, openly declaring that a 9-year-old girl is simply too young for marriage, thus condemning Yasir Qadhi, Adnan Rashid, Muhammad Hijab, Ali Dawa, and every other Muslim apologist who admits that their illiterate 7th century caravan robber of a prophet had sex with a 9-year-old girl. Fun times ahead.